Hey friends, what's up? This is Derrick Broze with the Conscious Resistance Network. And the purpose of this video is twofold. One, this is a message to my nephew Easton. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Two, this is a reflection on some of the work I've done in the past years, specifically presentations I've given about how to exit the matrix and focusing on solutions for becoming a more free person and helping you, your family, and your friends and your community being more free. But maybe we should stop for a moment and ask, well, what is the matrix? And in fact, this is the interesting part about this. My nephew Easton, who by the way does have a YouTube channel, and he asked me to shout his YouTube channel out. It's at Easton, E-A-S-T-O-N 937, at Easton 937. Go check out his funny little videos there, subscribe to him, show him some love, and I hope you enjoy this video, buddy. But Easton was asking his mother, who directed him towards me, about what is the Matrix. And at first I thought Easton was just talking about the movie The Matrix, but apparently he'd been listening to some videos on YouTube and he came across Andrew Tate, who I don't really recommend or support. I definitely think there's a better influence for my young nephew than Andrew Tate. The point is, though, through Andrew Tate he heard this discussion about the Matrix, and not just the movie, but what is the Matrix really about, right? And Easton, just being this beautiful bright mind that you are, he said something to the lines of like, isn't the Matrix, it's the banking system and it's the media, and they control everything and they own everything and they try to keep us distracted with our phones. He was showing me his phone and just all of these really insightful and true and accurate things. And when he was saying this, it just, wow, it like lit up my heart, not only because I've been doing this work for 14 years, as you guys know, and it's always awesome when somebody you care about, in your family especially, wants to know about the things that you're talking about. It gives you a chance. You're like, yes, this is the moment I've been waiting for. Well, he's a young little dude, right? So we're not just going to dive super deep into some of the heavy issues, but we're going to. I do believe in talking to kids, young adults, children as people, and not treating them like babies. It doesn't mean you talk to them about everything right away, but I do think that being honest with them and kind of preparing them for the realities of the world is important. And as an uncle, this is something I try to practice with respect to my brother and sister because they're kids. So with Easton, I just wanted to talk to him about that, and we kind of explained. I told him like what the Matrix, the movie, is about, and what it really represents. And so, in honor of Easton's question, and I did explain some of this to you, buddy, already, but I'm going to explain it again in a video, and I want to share with those of you out there. Again, I'll put the links to everything I've done, my presentations on how to exit the Matrix so that we can focus on solutions. But of course, if we're going to talk about solutions, we also have to address, well, what is the Matrix? What is this thing that we're trying to get out of? What are we trying to exit from, right? So that'll be the purpose of this short video. Thank you, Easton, for inspiring me. And again, on YouTube, at Easton937. Go subscribe to him. So, Easton, you are correct that the Matrix is the banking system. It is the media, and if you heard this through Andrew Tate, he's correct as well. I want to tell you about some other layers of this matrix, right? For one, what does a matrix even mean? In many ways, the definition, the way we're using that term is a control system, or a cage, you could imagine, right? So let's imagine, Easton, you have dogs. Let's imagine you put your dog in a cage, right? The dog can see the bars around it, right? Or if we put you in a jail cell or something like that, you can see the bars around you. You recognize that you are in a prison or in a cage, in a matrix, and that you're not free, right? That you can't just get out. You could shake the cage, you could push against it and try to get out, but you're very clearly in some sort of stage of captivity, right? Now imagine that you could create a cage for somebody, but they couldn't see the bars. Imagine that they couldn't physically touch the bars, so even if they were bumping up against the edges of their cage, they wouldn't even know it, right? They would just assume that, well, this is as far as I can go. There's no cage. It's just this is the edge of my reality, right? The Matrix is kind of like that. The Matrix is a cage that we are all born into, and it exists. It's around us in so many different ways. It's part of our mind. It can be a part of your heart. It is part of the physical world, but in so many ways we can't see it. So I'm going to give you some examples of what this cage is like and then why we can't see it. So the cage, as you mentioned, it is the banking system. And without getting too deep, and maybe we'll have more conversations about this as you get older, The banking system, there are people who control the banks, all the banks that your family uses and that your grandma uses, and everybody that you know that uses the banking system. These banks are owned by rich, very rich people, very rich families. Those banks, like the local bank in Texas, is owned for the most part by another bigger bank. And there are also banks on the international level, like the world level. There's the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, literally called the World Bank. And there's institutions known as central banks, and they control money. So you have pieces of paper that we call money that you save to buy toys and things you want. They control that money, and every time we use that money, they get richer, they get more powerful, and they can manipulate that money. They can do all kinds of funny things with it. So that is one part of the matrix. They get us in a world where we are chasing after this money that they have created, that they tell us is worth something, that we have to have these pieces of paper to buy things, to live. You have to pay to live on this planet. If you want to rent, if you want to exist, then you got to get a house, or you got to get a piece of land, or you got to get an apartment or something. All of that costs money, and there's monthly rent. And if you want to get a car, you got to pay on it. Everything costs money, right? And not saying money is necessarily on its own bad, but it's part of the control system. So that's part of the matrix. The money, the way we use it, the way it uses us, the way we have to live to just be alive and to spend money to be alive and to exist, that's part of the matrix. The media being, let's say, the news. When you sit down at home, if you were to turn on your local news and watch, you'd see these people in suits on TV telling you what's going on around the world. And many people trust that those people in suits on TV must be telling us the truth. But the reality is, buddy, that they're not always telling you the truth. And in fact, they're often not telling you the truth. They're rarely telling you the truth. They work, again, for corporations, which are owned by very wealthy people. And these corporations might not only own news stations, but they might own companies that make food, or companies that make pills, pharmaceutical companies. And they benefit by showing you commercials while you're watching TV, or they benefit by having the news reporter tell you a certain story or not tell you a certain story while you're watching. So the media, being the news, the TV anchors, the magazines, the newspapers, and obviously the websites, and on YouTube as well, even on social media. This is collectively what we call the media. And the media can give you lies or it can give you truth. It's up to you to be a critical thinker. So you have the banks, you've got the media. This is another important one that maybe will resonate with you, Easton. The schooling system, the education system. The school system that you go to is designed by the government, the United States government, Texas government, down to the local government where you live. And these people get to decide what things go in the textbooks that you read and the things they teach you. Now, there's some things that are facts that are always going to be facts as far as we know. Like 2 + 2 = 4. Except for when you read the book 1984 in the future, you'll understand 2 + 2 can sometimes equal 5. But in reality, 2 + 2 always equals 4. Now, there are other things, though, that facts that can be twisted and told differently based on who's telling them. Now, Easton, I know you've been a big fan of World War II for a long time. Now, the people who tell us the stories about who won World War II and who were the good guys and the bad guys are very much based on who wins the war, right? Have you heard the phrase, the victors write history? It basically means that if there's a battle and there's this guy versus this guy, and this one kills the one that survives gets to tell the story of how it happened. And obviously, they're going to make themselves look good, right? If me and you are in a battle and you beat me, you're going to tell everybody that I was the bad guy and you came here and saved the day, right? It's just like that. So history is not always what we're told or what you're going to read in your textbooks. And in fact, many of your teachers, they might be good people with good intentions who care about you and love you, but they might not even question the things that they're teaching you. They might just be repeating the same information that was taught to them when they went to the same public education system and they read the same textbooks, and now they're teaching it to you. That can be a part of the matrix, part of the control grid as well. You have to be willing to question authority. You have to be willing to question your teachers, to question your principals, to question your pastors, to question everybody. Do it with respect, but hold on to your own critical thinking. Even question your parents. Again, doing it with respect. But understand that a lot of people in this world believe things that are not true. Or they buy into a story they tell themselves because it makes them feel good. It makes them feel safe. it's not always a good place. It doesn't always feel good to question the whole reality around you and to wonder, wow, was I lied to by the people I thought I could care about? But this is the thing I want to tell you, Easton, because you're young right now, and maybe this will stick with you. So many people, myself, maybe your mom, and people even older than us, have come to a point in their lives where they realize that they were lied to by the people they thought they could trust. They went to school, they went to high school, they went to junior high, they went to college, they went to university, and they believed they could trust their professors and their teachers and their fellow students. And later in life, they realize, oh my God, these people told me lies. This is not what's truth. Or they come to find in their own research, using the tool of the internet, to learn what they want about World War II, not just to trust when you ask Google, what happened in World War II? Siri, tell me what happened in World War II. Echo, tell me what happened in World War II. Instead, you have to do your own research and think for yourself. Because many of us who were born before you, Easton, and before the internet, we now have realized that we've been lied to our whole lives, and that there are things that we were taught that are not true. So you have the opportunity to avoid that. If you go through the rest of your school years, whether you're in public school or you homeschool or something, there's a lot of different family options. But the point is, if you can't take your kids out of school, or if that's not your choice, or that you don't have the money, whatever it is, I'm not here to judge anybody. Just make sure to encourage those kids, like my young nephew Easton, to have critical thinking. The banking system, the media, the education system. Let's give a couple more examples that we can think of. Part of this matrix, right? I mean, we could go all day and describe like this machine. This is why I have a documentary series called The Pyramid of Power at thepyramidofpower.net. We've released 12 episodes out of 17, chapter 13 coming next week, by the way. It's available in English and Spanish, and let's think of another one. I think these are really kind of, to me, the most important, because with the schooling and the education system, you can manipulate the mind and influence the young ones, the next generation. With the banking system, you're controlling the flow of money and people's money and keeping inflation going, so people are constantly losing value. With the media, they're creating a false narrative and a false perception of the world around us. And then obviously things like government, corporations. Another part of the matrix, Easton, to recognize is your food. There are a lot of companies out there. Again, when it comes to trusting, many people trust that when you go to the grocery store, that the food you're buying there, it must be safe. Somebody tested it, right? Otherwise, why would they let you, a young little boy, eat this food if it was not good for you, right? You might assume that. But remember that governments working with these same corporations, these same rich people who want to make a lot of money, they sometimes go out for fancy dinners and they sit down, they shake hands, and they say, you know what, instead of taking care of that little boy that's depending on me to make sure they only have access to clean, healthy food, let's go ahead and do this secret deal, and we'll put your product into the stores because it's going to make us both rich, even though we know it has some chemicals in it that might make people sick. Those things happen, buddy. So you can't trust that the food that's out there at the movie theaters, at the grocery stores, when you go to your friend's house, that it's good. You need to, look, and I'm talking to my nephew and all of you as well, like, look for organic, clean, healthy food as much as possible. I know it's difficult if you got a big family. It's expensive when it's just me and my partner, but we strive for organic because we know they put pesticides in there, and the pesticides affect our thyroid gland. The pesticides can lead to cancers. They put fluoride in the water. Fluoride in the water is lowering children's IQs, and it's causing bone pain. It's causing thyroid gland issues, all kinds of stuff. So the poisons in the foods and in the waters and all that stuff, that's a part of the matrix too, Easton, because if we're eating bad food, not only are you going to feel bad, like, oh, I ate too much ice cream, I got a tummy ache, but you're not going to think straight, The food that you eat is going to determine the way you feel. So, buddy, as soon as possible, start eating and as healthy as possible so that you can keep doing all those push-ups you love to do, and you can keep, growing as an awesome young man, and your mind will keep searching for answers and keep thinking, and you will be farther ahead than most people if you just start eating healthy. And this is advice for all of us, right? So if we're eating healthier, we're eating good, clean, fluoride-free, filtered water, organic food as much as possible, you're going to be in a better position than somebody who's eating processed food, garbage all the time. And of course, again, part of the matrix is they make the food as expensive as possible. So you have to spend a lot of money. Mom and dad have to work even harder to feed you organic, right? That's part of the matrix too. The food systems and the different things tied together. And then the thing is, here's another part of the puzzle. Let's say you're eating these unhealthy foods that are at the grocery store because it's cheaper and that's easier to do. Then over a while, you start to get sick. You start to be one of the young kids that have diabetes at young age. Buddy, that never used to happen before you were born, and when me and your mom were young, that didn't happen as much. Now there's kids your age who are having diabetes. That used to be for old people, overweight people, but now there's childhood diabetes, right? And it's because of the diet. So then once your diet's bad and then you get sick, guess what? They've got a pill to give you. The pharmaceutical companies are ready to feed you their pills and get you to be a lifelong customer. Take this once a day for the rest of your life. It won't make you better and it might have side effects, but it'll make you feel something, or you'll at least distract yourself and think that you're okay now. The point is, that's a part of the matrix too. Attacking our health, keeping us in an unhealthy state of being physically, controlling our thoughts and the ways we think and the questions we ask. And then I know you love social media and you like to watch YouTube and Reels, and your other nephews, nieces and nephews are watching TikTok and stuff. Recognize too that there are people like your Uncle Derrick here, and like the man you heard about the Matrix from, who are being censored on social media for talking about these things. So recognize too that that's a part of the Matrix as well. When you want to search for truth, you might go to YouTube or you might go to Google and search, and just recognize that you're not going to get all the truth. They delete people like your Uncle Derrick. They delete other people who are speaking truth and talking about things that they don't want you to know. They want you to think that these are crazy ideas. And I'm not here to tell you what to think, or anybody else hearing this. But just keep thinking critically. That's what this is about. That's the way out of the matrix. That's the solution. So again, I've given several talks called How to Exit the Matrix, all about getting out of the banking system, growing your own food, etc., talking about a lot of the same things I just mentioned, but from a solutions perspective. But at the end of the day, it all does come back to critical thinking. You have to be a critically thinking person. So of course, to wrap up this question, the answer to this question to my nephew Easton and anybody else who cares, The Matrix is a movie. It's a metaphor, like you said, raining cats and dogs. It's like raining cats and dogs. It's not literally raining cats and dogs. The Matrix is here. It's all around us. You can't physically see it, but it is here. And it is a way to keep you locked in a certain thing that says that, Easton, you need to go to school, you need to graduate at 18, go right into college, get married, and live a happy life, and that's it. And for some people that works, and that is great, but not for everybody. Just be yourself. Chase the beautiful dreams you have. Question everything around you, and think for yourself. Most of all, don't give in to what your friends think is cool, or what your friends say is right, or what your parents or your uncle or your teachers or anybody. Think for yourself. Even if you're the only person standing strong, at least you know you're standing strong in your truth, and you're not just giving into what's cool, what's popular. So I think if you do those things, then you will not only understand the Matrix, you will be free of the Matrix. Thank you, buddy, for allowing me to communicate with you through this video, and I look forward to seeing more subscribers on your YouTube channel. Guys, thank you for listening to this video. I hope it's been entertaining and informative. Please feel free to share it with your friends and family, especially the younger ones who you might want to explain some of this to. And find me at theconsciousresistance.com. Learn more about my campaign for mayor at derrickbroze.com. Until next time, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free. Peace.